when we talk about the first one, Crazy Horse, he was an American Indian in his last life. He wasn't in the one before. He's not an American Indian now. He's an entity in spirit. He's my guide. His notoriety in his last life was as a fighter and as a leader, not by the position he held or didn't hold, but because of how he drew people to him. And he'll tell you any old time you want to listen that his greatest gift, as seen by the Indians of the time, as well as by himself, was his ability to, what we would call today, commune with the spirits, be a medium. So he received very accurate information about the outcome of battles, when they should or shouldn't fight, etc., and how they should fight. And that drew people to fight with him because they knew the outcome would be right. But if we go beyond that and we look at what was Crazy Horse doing and why did he exist, his whole purpose was we had an American Indian culture, an indigenous culture, which was relative to ours, very pure. And then, for seemingly no good reason, the white man decided they wanted to take over their land, and primarily they wanted to take over the land for the gold in the Black Hills. Apart from that, they wanted to put white people to settle it for cattle and sheep, without any notion or care for what that meant to the Indian people. What Crazy Horse realized was that the whole future of the Indians was about to dissipate. So thousands of years of history was going to be taken away. And he spent approximately half of his short life trying to work out what's a way around this, what's the solution. And he came to the conclusion there wasn't a solution, because not only did the white man not care about the Indian, you couldn't talk to the white man, because what he found is that they lied. The politicians lied. They would tell you one thing and do another thing. So he came to the conclusion that there's no hope. One of his great teachings is you can't negotiate with a liar. You're best just to ignore a liar, because they're not worth anything in terms of earth. Having recognized that the future of the Indian was in diabolical trouble, what can we do to leave a message that one day will resurface, where this beautiful culture will come back to the fore and it will be recognized for what it is, not as savages, but as something quite pure and beautiful. And he was the first and only one ever to unite all of the Indians, with the exception of the Crow Indian, and they fought at the Little Bighorn against General Custer, which saw the decimation of Custer and his entire troop of soldiers with him. And that was seen as a turning point in the Indian Wars, because the Americans then unleashed all of their power onto the Indians. But the Indians knew that in advance. They knew that they had to make a stand. They knew that they had to show their fighting power. They had to show their spirit, so that would be remembered. And what would be remembered behind that fighting power is their spirituality, the way they live with the land, their honesty, all of the values that they had that white man doesn't have. And even until today, the Indian in America is subdued. That won't be forever. White man fears they'll come back as a fighting force. It was never meant and never will be. They're meant to come back as a pure spiritual force. What he showed was incredible leadership. No good saying Crazy Horse was brave. He wasn't, because he said to be brave you have to be fearful, and he didn't have any. He worked totally in conjunction with his guide, which he called his Great Spirit. In his language, his Wakantanka. And what he did and what he believed in was that everything I was doing was right, was meant. And it's meant to not just be for this life now, but in perpetuity of the earth. That's what he brings, an incredible power, a fearlessness, and a huge knowledge and wisdom.
Crazy Horse was quite profound and knew so much when he was on Earth. So what has he even learnt since he's entered the spirit world?
The answer might surprise you. What he's learned is how right he was, and how he's stunned that white man's learnt nothing. We still have dishonesty, we still have politicians acting the same, we still have abuse of power, we still have decimation of a force through obliterating other cultures for no good reason, and then remaining in fear of them and keeping them suppressed. And what he's saying is that the value of the Indian to earth is being suppressed. And therefore Earth suffers because no one's got that bigger picture, that bigger view, and it brings a great sadness. So this is about the sharing of energy, of connectivity. And so theoretically he hasn't learned anything, but it's increased his determination for our work, that we bring a higher level of awareness and people can start to see the outcome of their actions, but more importantly, the flaw in their thinking.
How would you describe your relationship with the crazy horse?
Total trust, total belief, total acceptance, and at times hard to tell the difference as to who's who.
We're now commencing a trance mediumship session with Ian, bringing his guide, Crazy Horse.
In the time of the Indian, the symbol between Earth and the Great Spirit, or any one on Earth, was the Wambling, the eagle. The eagle was the animal that represented carriage of messages to the world of spirit, to the Great Spirit. We knew when I was an Indian that it was critical for life on Earth to be prosperous, not in a financial sense, for the people, for the Indian, because we were the people. It was critical that we relied upon the guidance of the Great Spirit. Of course, I knew that the Wambly, the eagle, was not the one who carried the messages, but it was symbolic, and many believed, and they were entitled to believe, because it gave them something to hope for. It's no different today. The work of this council, overseeing this renaissance of spirit, is the bridge between the work of the highest levels in the world of spirit, in the spiritual world, and Earth. And we convey what is required, and we convey it to these two. They in turn convey it. Let us not be confused about the renaissance of spirit. This is but a starting point. It is giving power back to the people because it has been stolen from the people over time. What we are doing is leaving behind a way of life, a way to stop being disenfranchised, a way to find their identity earlier, a way to escape, to be adventurous, to search in the way of the Indian. But we want it to be something that's gentle, for the true spirit of the Indian was gentle. We wished no harm to the animals. We wished no harm to the environment. It fed us. It fed our ancestors. It would feed our future generations. To live with that, we had to be gentle. We had to embrace it. We wanted to induce no fear in the animals, so they would be with us. Could you imagine a world where people did not try to make other people fearful of them? Where people had animals as pets and tried not to order them on command, but to be as one, to feel them. So they decided to work as one together. This is the way of the Indian. This is the way of the future. What we want is more purity, more simplicity. What we want is people to learn through time, to have the power to control their own life, to do what is right because they know it's right, because it's right not only for them, but for the rest of the people. This is the way. This is the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Crazy Horse. Moving forward with the Renaissance as of today, is there a message you would like to give to the people watching this as the first step they can take from here?
Renew your acquaintanceship with yourself. For you knew yourself at birth. you forgot yourself within 3 years. Renew it. Learn who you are. Once you know who you are, you truly know what it is that you want to share.
Thank you, Crazy Horse.
Thank you.
Wasn't that amazing? Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to find out more about each of the council members and hear a message by Trance with Ian Rogers, be sure to like, comment or subscribe and check out all the other videos on each of the council members on this channel. Thanks so much.